human organization, humanity, to communicate with each other and share information, which is why the cells came together in the first place.
So where are we going?
The biological evolution is fractal, meaning it has a very basic formula that reiterates itself over and over again. I'll give you an example. The cell of the human, the cell of the amoeba are essentially the same cell, same structure.
Right.
But then you look at all the diversity of biology and you say, well, but they're all basically the same cells.
Right.
So the fractal is the cell. And the chaos creates all the different organizations of cells, yet they're all still based on the same fundamental unit. But then the issue is this. The cell, when it got to a big enough community, recapitulated itself in a community called the multicellular organism.
Right.
The human is a cell enlarged as a community. We are a cell.
Okay. A community of cells.
We are a community, yeah, but the human then actually is a reiteration of the cell.
Okay.
Point, very simple. No matter how complex I am as a human, with all the functions that you ascribe to me, that there are no new functions in my human body that are not already present in the same cell. The human is a reiteration of a cell. Everything that I do, a cell already does. I mean, it's logical. How can I do something that a cell can't do? I'm cellular.
So now the community of humans
are a multicellular organization which comes together and makes a wholeness. Okay, now, but here's the interesting part. It sort of like jumps like bootstrapping itself. One cell later becomes a human, which later becomes humanity. And when humanity is complete, the Earth as an organism completes its evolution. It's a living, breathing, pulsing Gaia. It is now complete. When it is complete, when the cell completed its evolution, what was its next level of recourse?
hook up with other cells.
Right, and when the human completed its evolution, what was it? To hook up with other humans.
Right.
When the Earth completes its evolution, we are then at the level of a unity with a voice of unity that allows us to speak as a one, which will allow us to speak with other ones.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. That's
where we're going. That's it. We are these individual cells within the consciousness of the earth. And when we are coherent, when we do come together as a single humanity, that's when we'll hook up with these other beings that are now trying to communicate with us. But they're not doing it directly, because why would they? We are still in this incoherent state. There's no one to talk to. It's, you know, you can't talk to someone who's schizophrenic. You can't make sense. We have to come together as a singularity of each person recognizing their diversity, and recognizing their unique talents, and seeing that we're all different fingers on the same hand. You know, that's the level of coherence that we're going to. So this year's crop circles, look at this. This is what they call the butterfly. This was this year in the fields of England. You know, the butterfly is the symbol of transformation. It is. It's like, and so these are just done on the caterpillar. What? The caterpillar completely melts. I mean, this is all. The caterpillar. There's not one cell left in the caterpillar. They all melt. And then these things called these imaginal cells, which are sort of like these coagulations that start out of the melting to start to form something else. A little soup, yeah. But this was in the fields of England this year. There's a lot of amazing stuff. So they are well. You know, this oneness of the planet is being encouraged, I think. I think these are off-planet signals for us. I mean, we also mentioned earlier in the talk, this was a crop circle this year, too. Isn't that incredible? Does that go with the Tao? That is the Tao, yeah. These are 12 cycles, 12 around it. This was a crop circle this year. I mean, this is about constant change, this crop circle. And this one, if you see what this one is, these are 3 intersecting yin-yangs. Can you see that? That's just an amazing creation. So this is the this is like the yin center of the three ones. I mean, to even do this on paper takes an incredible feat. But to do this in a field like this size, these are tractor marks. So these are three intersecting yin-yang, if you can just imagine these three circles, and with a common yin together. These are symbols to somewhere in our unconscious mind to keep us going, to keep us motivated. This was a crop circle in the beginning of the season this year, sort of giving us a sort of calendar, I would think. It starts in the center, and there's these starts there, and then there's 2 missing, and then there's 2 there, and then there's 5, and then there's 3, and then there's 1 missing and 1. Somebody, some genius would be able to figure out this is a code to certain types of understanding. So, I mean, there's a part of our subconscious that understands what this is. This like 3-dimensional passageway, that's done in the grass from overhead. I mean, they are telling us something. I don't know what they're telling us, but our subconscious right brain knows what they're saying. And if we take in these forms and absorb them, we start to create new possibilities. That make sense to you? Do you know where I'm going with this? So, yeah, it's like the flower of life. That was a basic form that's already integrated into us. But these are new forms. This is something about the cube, the multidimensionality of the cube, And this is another one based on 9, somehow. So all this is showing us new potentials of the mind and new potentials of who we are. I mean, we've had symbols forever, but these new symbols are activating new neural nets, new neural pathways. We have these connections in our brain that haven't been made yet, and the geometries help us make those connections. That's why I think these new geometries are helping the acceleration of the planet. They're helping the understanding of who we are as vortex energy. We're like living vortexes. We're like living energy systems. So I'll get to that in a moment, but this is sort of the key to what I try to understand, is that show how we are these living energy systems. And I did another interview with this guy named Nicholas Mann, who talked about the spherical nature of reality. This is Nicholas Mann in Sedona.
Does this have to do with the spherical understanding of reality that you've been you started talking about?
Yes, this is a theory that is recently coming back to my attention, and it's a very nice theory because it first emerged in the 19th century, when there were 2 competing paradigms for understanding the nature of matter. There was the atomic theory that wanted to divide everything into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller particles.
Right.
And there was the vortex theory that said, no, matter isn't made up of tiny little particles. Matter is made up of energy in motion.
Yes.
And you know how a wheel, when it spins faster and faster, it achieves stability?
Yes.
Well, the theory goes is that when energy moves in a vortex pattern, for example, imagine a spherical contra-rotating vortex, it achieves stability and it achieves form without any need for there to be tiny little particles inherent within it. So this view of reality being made up of energy moving in vortex patterns, I think is a paradigm that is reappearing in quantum physics, especially in string theory, where they're realizing that they're never going to find these tiny little particles.
Right. It's infinitely small.
It's energy in motion that we need to be looking at. Now, just for a moment, one of the beauties of thinking of all physical bodies as spherical vortices is that we get away from this idea that objects have a boundary, a limit. If objects are energy in motion, it's much easier for us to understand that the energy can extend outwards.
Right.
And that in fact, every spherical vortex that makes up every living thing has an energy field which generates time and space. So time and space are not external qualities between things, they are emergent fields generated from things.
Right.
So for example, a galaxy generates time and space, and in relationship to an adjacent galaxy, which is also its own time and space, conventional science says there's this vast empty distance.
Where there's no time and space.
Which science says is a vast, we can't possibly traverse it.
Yeah.
In a spaceship. Well, of course you can't. But because it is an emergent field, and you're absolutely right. Between those galaxies, there is no time. There is no space. Because they are an emergent property of the spherical vortices, in this case a galaxy, that we're talking about.
And then there's an interaction between vortices and vortices, between vortexes and vortexes.
That's right.
And that interaction then must create a third thing, a Vesica Pisces type understanding what the intersection is.
You are really hot there.
Yeah.
You're getting close to an understanding of the primary nature of creation. When the two vortices of energy and matter meet, they create a third spherical vortex, which is sensitive to incoming energies. And if you think about, say, the union of a man and a woman in love to create a child, what they're creating there is a spherical vortex of which the sperm and the egg are only the external manifestation. What they're doing is creating an energy form which is sensitive to the galactic influences at that moment and brings them in. And this is what science calls the double helix, but it's actually an energy form which brings in the new life, the new cosmic being.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that double helix is really a symptom of the spherical vortices of the galaxy itself.
That's correct.
It exists in relationship to that larger being, that we are small vortexes inside that.
That's right. And what we're learning to do now with the landscape temples is attune to new energetic imprints and bring them in to the temples of Earth, so that a greater resonance is established within ourselves.
Is it because we are now energetically going to another level within, let's say, chaos theory, where the systems break down and reform at a higher pattern of complexity?
That's right.
That's what's happening right now. We're breaking down and reforming to a higher level.
That's what we're heading toward.
And we're bringing in new patterns.
That's right. It's quite a time.
Very exciting stuff. We'll talk more at some later day as this work evolves and as people kind of start to grasp these ideas. When I start to digest, it's a lot, because it's not just sacred geometry people think.
So that, Nicholas R. Mann. Let's see, I think he has a book I mentioned here.
Well, triangles and squares. This is far vaster, far.
This was at a sacred.
It's a living thing.
This was at a sacred geometry conference in Sedona. That was great, though. How time and space doesn't exist between vortexes, but we create it out of ourselves. So I'll just finish that up with this little description of
From my books and what I'm up to, my lecture programs and so on.
Nicholas will be speaking around the country in England, and he's also the author recently of The Energetic Secrets of Glastonbury Tour, and he's coming out with a new book called Sedona Sacred Earth. Sedona Sacred Earth.
So, I mean, I think it ends there with the understanding that we generate time and space from our own consciousness because we are these spiral vortexes, you know, so the understanding is who are we? What is the original face? You know, that's why I use this Alex Gray description to kind of ask, what is our original face? You know, what did we look like? What is that yin and yang? And the original face was the original split of the sperm meeting the egg. That's what I think that's that Zen answer. This is your original face, this act of seeking, this act of union of the two parts of ourselves. And then when we achieve it, we get the zygote there, the integration, the first Vesica Pisces, the achievement of the self. It's the interaction of of two circles coming together, creating a third thing. Anyway, it's this, and we keep going back to that fractal nature of ourselves. Emerson said, "That which you seek is that with which you seek." You know, all these people on this spiritual trip are looking for themselves, but it's the thing that's looking for themselves is what they're actually hoping to find. You know, it's the paradox of the search. But I think that is what the problem with religions have been, is that they are seeking that union. You know, the cross gives us the vertical and the horizontal meeting at that yin-yang connection, that male-female, that time and space connection. That's a symbol of seeking that original self. Like, you know, the two triangles coming together, the one pointing up is the male, the one pointing down is the female, traditionally. So we're seeking union with ourselves. This is like what the Sri Yantra, you know the Sri Yantra? Tell us about what the Sri Yantra means, Paul. Paul spent 4 years in India.
Well, it's supposed to be the Sri Yantra is the womb of the Divine Mother.
Hold it closer.
The Sri Yantra is the womb of the Divine Mother, and in that symbol of the upward and the downward triangle is the mechanics of creation. But there's also other symbols too that are involved, like the swastika, which is more difficult in the West to be complete.
Yeah. But I think all these logos, all these religious logos, as I like to call them, were a kind of reenactment of the male seeking the female. The two parts of it. This is the sperm seeking the egg. That's how I see that. You don't buy that?